First quarter, now we in the fourth quarter, man.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter, the number one show for the business of sports and entertainment.
Wait, before you guys start, I have a gift for you. It's about time you embrace your city. And you have to wear them because I spent money on them.
This is producer Pablo. I don't
Wait.
They heard him, right? He was speaking to the mic. He has a gift for us.
Pop, I don't know if this is right.
Oh my god.
Knicks hats. Wow.
So producer Pablo just got us Knicks hats. Why did you do this, producer Pab? This is crazy. You know we're Hawks fans.
Because the Knicks won, obviously.
This city, man. This city.
We have been giving him a hard time off camera throughout this playoff run.
On camera too. Sid is like by far one of the biggest Knicks haters on the planet.
And then I say Siraj is the easiest person to be turned into a New York Knicks fan.
That's not true.
Spends 2 more months in this city.
I have never bought Knicks merch in my life.
Okay,
This
well,
is,
now
I guess,
you own one.
now I own
No,
one.
I mean,
I guess
you got 2 now.
Nah, Pablo, we returning this. Is the tag still on this?
No, it's not. He
I'm
took the
afraid not.
tags off. All right, are we wearing it?
Oh wait, all right. Well, we'll wear it. We'll wear it.
But when the Hawks win, though, we're getting Pablo in full Hawks gear.
I can't wear this for the whole show, but producer Pablo, thank you. And
Nah, no thank you. No thank you.
you're switching up.
Nah, hey, look.
It's
I
the New
always
York
stay
Knicks
true.
parade.
I always stay true to ATL. The Hawks are coming back next year. Hopefully we get Jaylen Brown. That would be sick. And we're gonna win it all.
It's the New York Knicks parade right now that's happening as we're filming. And not that I wanted to go, but producer Pablo, I think you wanted to go, right?
Yo, you gotta wear it.
The whole show?
Yeah, you gotta wear it the whole show.
We're gonna get clipped.
If I'm wearing this, you're wearing this.
Let's wear it for 10 minutes, guys.
All right.
10 minutes?
We'll
Okay,
wear it,
we'll get
we'll
through
wear
the first segment with the Knicks hat, and then
Is the lighting still good on our faces?
I don't want to get
Pablo?
sick.
Or no? Nah, it's fine, I guess. Whatever.
All right, lighting's good. Your shirt looks clean, dude. You're fine.
Thank you. All right, so producer Pablo, you wanted to go to this, right?
The parade is literally happening as we're speaking. Are we intruding?
I think I'm good. Knicks fans are a bit different.
Wait, you're a Knicks fan, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean.
Oh, so there's like different levels to it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I bet like 20% of the people at the parade are not truly Knicks fans.
Yeah, but honestly, good for the city. I mean, they've been waiting.
No, it's
for a
great.
while.
It's great for the city. I'm super happy for New Yorkers for sure, and I live in the city, so it's cool.
So I was away in Chicago for a personal trip, and when they won in Game 5 against the San Antonio Spurs, and you sent me a picture.
Oh,
of
it was
a bus
being crazy,
lit on fire.
Well, yeah, it was on Twitter. I mean, that's like the anomaly. I do think though the streets were going crazy. I mean, people climbing scaffoldings, like every TikToker.
I mean, the streets were
that
just flooded
on
with
the
people.
planet was out there with their cameras out and stuff. It was kind of hilarious.
It's funny. Did you see the guy that went viral on Twitter because he has a apartment, I believe, in the West Village, and he used his projector to like put it off of a restaurant.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then
yeah.
the
And then
entire street was
yeah.
just watching the game. That's really cool.
That
you
is
don't get
cool,
that anywhere else. So
No, that's true.
like,
So
New
it's
York is-
honestly, it's pretty dope. I will say I've been seeing a lot of tweets actually just this morning. So the parade's happening right now, obviously. And like you literally can't even get out of the subway. Like there's so many people. The lines are like thousands of people long. Like it's probably a mess just to like actually be a part of it. So
I have a flight I need to catch later, so I need to get back quickly and pack.
oh
and then-
yeah. Dude, the
and-
trains might be like busted.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna get back. Well, anyway, congrats to the New York Knicks. Congrats to producer Pablo. Diving into our top story, the family behind Louis Vuitton might be able to buy the fastest growing brand in fitness. Let's get into it. Catterton, the private equity arm tied to LVMH with $35 billion assets under management, is in exclusive talks to take a major stake in Hyrox, the fitness racing brand that has turned sled pushing and wall balls into a global mass participation activity. Shout out to our friends who ran it, actually.
Yeah.
Sam Berman at Underdog,
Brendan
Brendan
Dugan
Dugan, and Joey
Lindstrom.
Lindstrom.
Yeah.
They were both teammates. Ali Cinciulli at Fanatics. They all ran it, so shout out to them. And you guys crushed it when they were here for the New York race. Should we do one? Should we do a fourth quarter one?
I think we could do a fourth quarter one, honestly. I mean, it just would have to come back to New York, or if someone would sponsor us to do it, we can get some content going.
Yeah, that would
maybe
be
we get
cool.
a partnership with Hyrox. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be insane. A live show there. That'd be pretty cool.
I think we need a challenge for you guys.
Okay, what's the challenge, producer Pablo?
Some social media challenge. I think we can do a few likes. I think we got 50K, 10K likes.
Oh,
Oh, you're saying a clip.
When
Okay.
we hit. Okay. We'll think.
Oh
about
yeah, maybe we get 10K followers on Instagram.
And then we have to sign up for.
We have to
Hyrox
sign up for
race?
Hyrox. Right now we're at like 6.7K.
Almost 7K.
Almost 7K now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I
fine.
guess 10K.
We'll sign up when the
once,
New York-
once that number hits, we'll sign up for Hyrox.
when they
Yeah.
open up in New York.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not
fine.
gonna. I have
Wait,
to
let's
like,
shake
get in
on
the
it.
lab. I have to get in the lab
And this
if we're
would
gonna
be
do
great
this.
because Sid doesn't like to, infamously doesn't like to
Oh,
run.
he doesn't run. But look, it's-
basketball's my cardio.
But it's like 1 kilometer of running, and then you do.
Yeah. Okay.
like-
So
yeah.
so this is good, right? So, essentially, how it works is it's a mixed. It's a fitness race with a mixed format. So it's 1 kilometer and then of running and then 1 workout, but then you have to do it 8 times. So you have 8 runs, 8 workout stations that anyone can train for, and almost everyone finishes. Okay. So I believe they have a 98% finish rate compared to Ironmans and some marathons and stuff that don't have as high completion rates. But the 8 stations are always the same movements that gym goers already know. So it's pretty simple. They're the ski erg, the sled push, the sled pull, burpee, broad jumps, rowing, farmer's carries, sandbag lunges, and wall balls. And then you can race solo or in doubles or in a relay. Oh, I believe Maria Zing as well, our friend, ran the relay. So we actually
Really?
have a lot of people that are participating, which is interesting. In
Yeah,
our
I guess
circles,
we're the
right?
only ones who haven't done it yet.
All right. Well, so we're going to do the doubles together.
I'm down. I'm down to do a relay.
Okay. Very interesting. So anyway, this brand, it's a Swiss-based marketing and media company called Infront Sports and Media AG. So that's the company that owns Hyrox. And now they invest in 2019, then they acquired a majority stake in 2022. And then Infront is actually owned by a Chinese company called Wanda Group, which is interesting.
Really? Okay. Yeah, no, it seems like, well, one, this is, in my opinion, a company that has huge potential. They've already been, reaching it based on just the participation rates overall. So
Okay, so tell me the
it
participation.
started off in 2017. First event had 650 participants. The actually storyline behind how this even happened is quite amazing. And I want to get into that first so just so people understand, why it's become so popular. But it started off with co-founder Moritz First. He was actually one of Germany's most decorated Olympic field hockey players. He was a gold medalist in the Beijing and London Olympics.
Wow.
And I recently watched an interview where he was on CNBC. I think it's a segment called Founders Effect, where they're interview interesting founders that are really popping off. And what he talked about was that athletes die twice in their life. Like, obviously there's biological, but 2, it's, when they have to, hang up the shoes or hang up the cleats, right? At some point in time, you can't access the super highs and the super lows as an athlete. And that feeling is fundamentally something that they can't replace. And so when he had, finished his field hockey career, he was like, what's next? And where's that competitive outlet where I can bring that back, but at the same time, it's accessible for everyone? And that's where he, bet on Hyrox. And it's actually crazy. He literally put like all of his life savings, borrowed as much money as possible, literally put everything into Hyrox and built it to what it is. The first event only had 650 participants.
Wow.
Now it's like
It's insane.
It's insane.
I think it eclipsed 1 million, right?
Yeah,
In the
1.5
last 12
million
months?
projected participants for the 2026 season.
I think they also had like a little over 1 million participants already in the last 12 years, or 12 months, excuse me. So it's super fascinating. So the transaction value was potential transaction value was unclear. So there wasn't much about it, but there's been 2025 revenue numbers floated to be around 150 to 160 million, and they're projecting over $230 million in revenue this year. Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts. I actually also think the business model is super interesting
Yeah.
because essentially, like, it's a league of its own. It allows a bunch of participants to, like, just normal people to participate. I love the way that they actually make the people participating feel like they're part of the Olympics, right? They announce their name. You got LED lights everywhere at the same
It
time.
seems really fun if you look at the clips too, right?
Right,
Like you're with
exactly.
your friend, ideally, or a
They're
partner
celebrating you as the
Yeah.
athlete, like you're in some grand arena. And one, you make money off of the participants itself because you have to pay money in order to participate.
So that's the entry fees, right?
That's the entry
Okay.
fees. And at the same time, and so there's a lot of participants involved over a year because, they have multiple events across the world. And at the same time, there are a lot of people, friends and family, and even people who just are in love with the sport that come to watch. At the same time, they have a huge, I would say, I wouldn't call it I would say a big media arm here, where it's like they live stream on YouTube, and at the same time they get a lot of viewership numbers there as well. And then now they've built out a brand where a lot of people just rep Hyrox. Like a lot of people buy the apparel itself.
So they also do merchandise, like you were saying, coaching and camps, gym licensing, digital training subscriptions, and sponsorships and commercials are kind of like all the ways that they're making money. So this is cool. I don't know if you saw this when you were doing your research, but they have an interesting flywheel where they give out gym licenses to gyms where they're official Hyrox training partners, essentially, where these gyms are they have it's essentially recurring asset light income streams where I think they have 5,000 gyms that are affiliate gyms. They pay $1,500 roughly, maybe a little bit more than that a year. And I did the math. It's $8 million in just affiliate gym partners where I'm assuming they have the right equipment, the training circuits and stuff that you can train properly for Hyrox, which I think is super cool. And on the merch front, it's pretty cool because you have Puma, did you see this? Puma has made an official Hyrox shoe. So they're the official.
Oh, yes, I did see this. Yeah.
They're a key partner for Hyrox, or a big sponsor. And then they made a Hyrox shoe, which, being a first entrant, is super cool. I don't know if we've never been to a race, obviously. It would be cool to see if they sell it there or if these people buy Hyrox specific
Or a lot of
shoes.
people who are hey, I am a Hyrox athlete. I train specifically for this sport. And so they might want to buy the Hyrox shoe because it's meant for it.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. It's a $260 shoe called Puma X Hyrox Deviate Nitro Elite. Sounds crazy. It's the first ever specifically developed shoe for Hyrox. And then Adidas now entered it with the Audi Zero drops at elite position for hybrid fitness racing. And then Hyrox now just created a new fitness category.
New fitness category, new sport. And what's really interesting about this too is that, so when I was watching Moritz's interview, he was also talking about how he's making a big push, and Hyrox, the company, is making a big push to make hybrid racing a part of the Olympics. So this is something where people.
Oh my
could
God,
literally
that would
medals
crush.
for, that would crush, and that'd be huge for the sport.
Yeah.
And I think as accessibility, at the same time, the amount of viewership that they've been able to accumulate, it would be net beneficial for the Olympics to consider incorporating hybrid racing.
I mean, does the Olympics already have, or does it have any hybrid type obstacle course stuff?
No, I
don't
think it's
so, right?
I mean, typically it's purely run. It's like track and field. It's all divided into one specific movement, right?
Yeah.
And so I think hybrid racing is able to bring all that together, and they've shown that, look, this has mass commercial appeal, but now that people are legitimately, I mean, top tier athletes in the world are specifically training for this, I think there's a good case for it to be the Olympics.
I think it'd be
long-term.
really cool to see former sports superstars, once they retire, come do stuff like this. And imagine Cristiano Ronaldo and LeBron, after they retire, they're a Nike team, and they're together, right? And then can you have brands that are coming to sponsor, coming in to be teams? Can the fourth quarter be a team, right? Is there a Nike team? Is there a Fanatics team? Or is there, a Delta Airlines team? It could be cool
there's a
to
huge
get into
networking
the corporate
play that you can make.
because JP Morgan already has the JP Morgan. Is it a 5K? It's a race in New York.
Yeah,
It's a charity 5K, right? So there's interesting things I think you can activate on the corporate front. They have cool partners already and sponsors, Puma, Red Bull.
And pretty diversified revenue streams as well.
USA,
I think this is a
Cigna.
really interesting asset to buy. They've essentially developed and own a sport. That's really hard to do.
And they also have a cool wearable partner, Amazfit, signed a 3-year exclusive global partnership in April, while Garmin and Coros shipped Hyrox specific modes without official branding, which is these other fitness tracking companies are now recognizing it as a legit participation based off of numbers of their users. Probably.
So you're saying when I go on my Whoop and I'm about to go do a workout, I click oh, I'm playing basketball or I'm weightlifting. Now I can click I'm doing Hyrox.
Exactly. I don't think Whoop shipped this, but on
But
Garmin you can.
on Garmin is what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, right?
That is kind of wild. And I mean I think this is going to be a home run for Al Catterton to get involved in. So.
Do you think this is following a similar path to enhanced games. I think it's completely different, actually. I was trying to
Yeah.
draw too many parallels, but I think significantly there's so much participation with the actual sport that enhanced games doesn't necessarily have.
enhanced games is like we're
The
gonna
marketing
use this, we're gonna
vehicle.
use it as a marketing vehicle. Hyrox is like we're gonna invest in the sport, like specifically, like this is something that's like the core focus. We're gonna make money off of these events that we throw.
So enhanced games is essentially the sports and the league itself is they're the games. They're the distribution engine for the consumer wellness products. But now I'm asking you, like, do you think Hyrox can be, because people love the sport already, they can create an organic, like, I know they have Puma shoes and whatnot and merchandise and fit in, wearables, but is this an interesting potential play for Hyrox to expand into consumer wellness and consumer products?
Potentially, I think consumer
like
products.
more merchandise, more, I don't know, as like tech infused, like underwear and like socks and shirts and like, I don't know. I think there's definitely a potential opportunity to go build some stuff like
Potentially,
this.
I don't think they'll do it because if they're gonna go the enhanced games way, the way that Hyrox would probably do it is say, hey, look, like we built this sport, it has mass attention. Now we're gonna build out Hyrox specific gyms, but they made distribution through affiliates,
Gyms would be cool. Yeah.
partnerships. And what Moritz was saying was that like we don't want to build out Hyrox specific gyms because then you're competing with all of your affiliates.
They
and
want to be
partners.
asset light, which is the whole.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and at the same time
fair.
be as far reaching as possible, and so they just distribute through all of their gym partners.
I love it. Anything else you want to add there?
Nah, just congrats to the Hyrox team for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
for another major investment.
Well, we'll see if it goes through, right? This is
it's
still in
yeah.
talks. I mean, the fact that it hit the press is, I'm sure
It's
they're
probably
trying
gonna
to go.
yeah, it's probably gonna happen then, likely.
Cool. Moving on to our cultural sports headline. This is the last segment I'm keeping this Knicks hat on, then I'm taking it off. The New York Knicks beat the San Antonio Spurs in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Obviously, everyone went wild. This New York City turned into Gotham City, but they essentially brought back the first title to New York since 1973, ending a 53-year drought. But here's the thing. I think the main winners were actually Fanatics. And here's why. Fanatics took in more than 8,000 orders per minute after the clinch, a new company record. Okay, the Knicks have already more than doubled the sales of the company's previous best-selling NBA Finals champions, which were the LA Lakers in 2020. And this is interesting, right? Fanatics and Michael Rubin are super innovative because they focus a lot of their business around hot markets. He was on CNBC. I was watching this interview, actually, where Michael said the New York Knicks hot market is going to drive roughly $100 million in business
Wow.
for Fanatics. And a typical NBA hot market for Fanatics is around 10, 15, $20 million. So almost 5Xing that, 10 to 5Xing that is like ridiculous just for one team. And they did some cool activations. They had like a merch truck. They had some cool stuff. So immediately after the championship, Fanatics launched more than 300 commemorative products spanning apparel, collectibles, memorabilia, and hard goods. So everything from like a $10,000 crystal leather jacket to a Seinfeld themed shirt, like baby, like toddler or infant bodysuits, like all types of stuff, which is wild. But yeah, and then also I have to shout out Suraj. I have to shout out my alma mater, the Fanatics app team, where I used to work, which was a startup when I joined, and now they've been crushing it. But I asked the team for some statistics because Fanatics as a whole has been trying, and Michael Rubin has been trying to emphasize a lot of the commerce through the app.
Yeah.
To be the front door to the entire ecosystem because it's a lower touch point and an easier touch point because it's on your phone, et cetera. But they've been crushing it in terms of revenue, net demand, and kind of just business being, commerce just being shopped, items being shopped on the app. But demand was up 260% year over year, and then the peak app concurrent unique users were up 180% year over year. So awesome to see that when I
Looks like your old team is crushing.
They're crushing. Yeah. So that's awesome. Congrats to everyone there, and I thought this is really cool.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it the cultural headline.
No, 100%. I mean, Fanatics runs merch, but at the same time, I feel like they're very fast at activating when something big happens in sports. Much more leaner than a typical like sports league would be able to do it. And so I think the $100 million pipeline that Michael Rubin's talking about, I think that could only be done from their leanness and at the same time their ability to activate on the spot.
Okay, so how long do you think the Knicks winning will drive business for Fanatics?
I think throughout the entire offseason, for
okay,
sure.
so that's what I thought. I thought it'd be a few month lift, right? So he was asked this question on CNBC, and he said it's going to be over the next few years. Isn't
Really?
that nuts?
That
I mean,
is nuts,
obviously he
yeah.
has way more data points than we do, but like, I think just the general. I mean, we saw this in New York. People who didn't even look like they tuned into basketball were decked out in Knicks gear, right? Like,
Right.
now that they're embracing their city, big transplant city. So I feel like a lot of loose allegiances that just got won over, and now.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think what he's also saying, and this is to echo your point, is that in the next couple of years, people will just naturally become Knicks fans.
Yeah.
Like people that might not be that tuned into the NBA, who might have moved to New York, and like I said, the transplant culture, they're immediately going to want to tap into the Knicks, and so a lot of that merch will be driven through that. But at the same time, look, they haven't gotten a championship in 53 years, right? That drought in of itself, they're going to ride this chip for a while, right? Like, and hey, look, maybe they go back to back. Hopefully not. Hopefully the Atlanta Hawks do. But at the same time, like that will carry on,
Yeah.
right? It's like when a chip, like think about when LeBron brought a chip to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I bet there was a lot of pipeline for the next couple of years. I mean, LeBron was still playing on the Cavs for the 2-3 years after, but at the same time, I think that carries for a while.
I also think that New York being one of the, if not the largest city for basketball. I mean, the other second for Fanatics was LA. These are the two biggest markets,
Yeah.
right? So like, I also do think it's just the city as a whole and the demographic and geographic location of it. So honestly, shout out to Fanatics, shout out to the Knicks, shout out to everyone who's won this. I think it's really cool to see this, and excited to see the brand uplift over the coming years. And yeah, this is definitely.
I think this is enough Knicks glaze.
Retiring the hat.
I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot in the past couple of weeks, but super happy for them and glad everyone's making money from this. So
I just know you guys are gonna be wearing these outside. As well.
Yo, does my hair look okay, or do I have hat hair?
nah, it looks fine, man.
Okay, you got some hat.
Nah,
hair.
I got some hat hair for
That's
sure.
fine. That's fine. All right, moving on to team and league news. The University of Utah has finalized an agreement with private equity firm Otro Capital to create a new for-profit entity called Crimson Brand Partners. This is super interesting. So no official figures have been disclosed yet, but Otro is committing at least $100 million to the endeavor, according to someone familiar with the agreement that Sportico reported on. So the Otro and Utah agreement is one of the first ever like this between a university's athletic department and a private equity firm in major college sports. So the new company begins beginning operations in July 1st, and will handle most of the athletic department's revenue streams, including stadium ops, ticketing, hospitality, licensing, multimedia, sponsorships, and trademarks. And then the coaching, recruiting, scheduling, and athlete support and private fundraising will stay with the school. And the university will own a majority share of the company through the school's foundation, and Otro will own a minority interest. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, this has been like in discussion for a while now.
And a lot
The
of
deal-
good and bad
bad.
people were,
Well, yeah,
that
because
people
there's a
were
lot
saying
of
about
people
this.
who think that, one, private equity getting involved in college sports might not be good for the integrity of the game because it's more of an academic institution, and now you're bringing in more commercial entities. But at the same time, a lot of these universities do need an infusion of capital externally because, one, they can't support their athletic departments as much as they could have due to NIL and the fact that in order to get the best athletes, it's going to require some dollars to attract them to your team. And if you look at them, they all run on deficits, right? I believe when Utah was transitioning from Pac-12, was transitioning out of Pac-12, they were running a $17 million deficit.
And all of
And
these numbers are public, right?
Yeah.
These college athletic programs are public.
Yeah, you can literally
Public
look them
schools.
up because any public universities, their athletic department costs and their P&L is public.
And you have to do a freedom of data, or what is it called? Freedom of information.
I think it's like
request or
something like that. Like you have to report it through. To
You have
the
to request
to
it,
the
right?
DOE.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, all this is in public information. Like I can go. There's actually a pretty cool database. I forgot. It's like Syracuse 90 something.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
I mean, we know people that have done this, right? Matt Roberts, D1 Ticker, my old professor at Georgia Tech, Jacqueline Garner, who now teaches their sports finance minor. So yeah, this is the thing. Okay, so really quickly before we move on, like, tell me why a private equity firm would do this.
Yeah. So one, I feel like it's a very opportunistic investment where they see that there's massive commercial potential for college football specifically. In my opinion, I think this is like most of this is indexed on college football and college basketball, but University of Utah is a massive college football program. At the same time, they have significant media rights deals, right, across all of the conferences, and at the same time, college football playoffs. So you get access to those dollars, and that's huge for their program. At the same time, there's growing attention for it. I mean, when it comes to just overall college fandom, it's really peaking right now. Like it's getting pretty insane because at the same time, all these athletes are becoming celebrities as well because they can now profit off their NIL. And so there's a really massive investment opportunity, but the problem is that they're not making that much money. So you need infusion of capital in this. At the same time, you need really good management. And so if you look at actually the Utah Otro Capital deal, like look at the people that they're bringing in. Matt Webb, CEO.
Yeah.
He was executive at the Saints, Pelicans, Browns, Padres, focused on corporate partnerships, commercial revenue. Alex Schultz, CCO. He was also an executive Royals, St. Pelicans, and NASCAR. Joel Adams, he's the chief ticketing officer.
These are like former like seasoned
These are former seasoned
pro
executives
execs,
from
right?
Professional sports teams that college athletic departments never had when it comes to commercializing their operations. At the same time, what's really interesting is I don't know the dynamics of how these deals are being done, but a lot of people are like, look, where's the real return on investment here? One, you probably have to hold that investment for a long period of time. This
Wait,
is something that you can just quickly sell.
Someone said that, or maybe I was doing some research and it was cited somewhere that Otro was looking to hold for 5 to 7 years. Is that you think that's too small or of a time frame?
Potentially, I mean, it would probably have to be some sort of like secondary sale. Like you can't really sell a commercial entity for a university's athletic department.
I mean, we've never
right?
seen it before.
We've
so
never
I don't
seen
know.
it before, so I would have no idea. My guess is that it's going to be a little bit more evergreen. But I could be wrong. I mean, maybe they sell it to some other private equity firm who's like, hey, like we're going to run the commercial operations now and help out.
So what would success have to look like for this for other schools or for this model to be replicated at other schools? Do you have like any good answers there?
Yeah. So what I was going to say is what's really interesting about these commercial entities is that I don't know the specifics because none of this data or information is public, but I'm making this is my theory.
Okay.
I think what's really interesting about these is that the P&L for the actual like college football program will never run through the commercial entity. It's always going to run through the university, right? So the cost of running the actual sport or, running the college football program, the college basketball program, it doesn't flow through the commercial operation. So it's really just a pure revenue vehicle. And so what I bet is that they have some agreements on distributions going to the university and that the P&L, all of the costs is really coming to like just personnel, like the people that they've hired to run the operations at the same time, the cost to get all these partnerships, venue upgrades, etc., and then major distributions that go back to the university and to the university's athletic department. So they could actually be a pretty profitable business as a commercial arm, and then they could market that and say, hey, look how much we've driven in profit from this new commercial entity that we've built. This is something that's high value, much more than what we've put in capital-wise because there was a clear opportunity here. Universities don't know how to commercialize as well as professional sports teams. We bring in the personnel, we bring in the resources, and now you can do that, and then you can sell at a premium. That's my theory, but I could be wrong. I honestly, none of this information is public. This is pretty novel, never done before, but I hope it goes well. The board of trustees, they unanimously agreed on this decision for University of Utah.
Everyone's kind of bought in.
They're very bought into this, so I hope it works out.
When we officially start accepting guests, because we're building a backlog right now with a lot of demand, honestly.
Matt Webb, he's got to be the first guy to come.
Or the Otro guys, right? Or the University of Utah guys. So I think it'd be cool to see that. Okay, cool. Moving on to other news within team and league stuff. Not much here that I want to comment on because I saw the USA game, which was super exciting. But the World Cup viewership has already hit record viewership views, right? Like it's honestly like I don't even know how else to say that. There's two main things recently. The tournament opener on June 11th between Mexico and South Africa. Shout out producer Pablo. His team won 2-0, set the opening record. with 13.4 million in total audience delivery. So Fox 1 and Tubi drew in 6.3 in preliminary viewership, and then revised to 7.1. And then that was the most watched English language World Cup opening match ever in the U.S. But the biggest story was Spanish. Telemundo, Universo, and Peacock posted 13.4 total audience delivery, making it the most watched World Cup opener ever, regardless of language. And then the second is the U.S. opener. June 12th, they beat Paraguay 4-1, which we were both watching that game. And that set all-time records. The combined official audience was announced at nearly 25 million and then rised up to 27.5 million. The most watched soccer match in American history, beating the 26.
I mean, it better be. That was a crazy
It
game.
was wild.
And the fact that they were scoring that many goals. Shout out to Balogun. He's a beast. But unbelievable
legend.
game. And honestly, I didn't think Team USA was going to come out that hot and that strong initially. So they deserve the viewership.
There was a bunch of USA chants you could just hear from the streets. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. No, it was pretty epic. So I'm super. Look, I think this World Cup is going to break numbers viewership wise. Like, you're getting a full mass market of the U.S. That entire audience, that entire viewership base that you typically might not have gotten for any other World Cup.
It's funny. It's a funny anecdote, but I was at a event in Midtown actually a few days ago, and it was in a hotel, and I was going up to the event venue, and there were people, I believe they were British or maybe Welsh or Irish, and they were all wearing different jerseys, and they clearly weren't from here because they had accents, and they were here, and they were like, oh, I'm traveling to so-and-so, and he was going to Boston for a game, and they were, conversing, and there was camaraderie even though they were different teams and they weren't from here. It's cool to see that. I think very few events ever in sports world ever get to bring that. I think maybe Olympics is one of them, but FIFA and the World Cup is one that brings people from multiple countries together. So
100%. I was seeing some super funny. It was like these British guys that were in Texas to watch the England Croatia game, and they were just like hanging out. They were like essentially saying like these were the nicest people that they've met. Like, everyone is just like super like happy to see each other from different types of backgrounds. It was very welcoming, and so.
Did you see the guy? It was Korea versus Mexico. They were in Mexico, and there were all these Mexican people were dancing to Gangnam Style. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see
It was
that.
so
You gotta send me
funny.
that actually after
Well,
the show. That's
Yeah, producer
hilarious.
probably. You'd have to throw that up, but it was so funny. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, the world is healing.
Do you guys actually know the backstory
No.
of South Korea and Mexico?
What's the backstory?
So in 2018, I believe South Korea helped Mexico advance by beating Germany to the next stage.
Oh, so they're allies.
Oh, really?
So
So they're
there's, like,
allies.
this-
That's
Okay,
funny.
There's
that's
this whole joke where now they're like, it's like a bromance between the two.
I love it. Okay, in the world of sports real estate, you picked this one, so I actually thought it was pretty cool though. The Braves and Live Nation staged the first ever Braves Country Fest presented by Truist at Truist Park this past week in the Battery in Atlanta. But here's the cool thing, right? The day-long festival was being like presented to fans and people in Atlanta when the Braves weren't even there. They were actually in New York. They beat the Mets 3-1, I believe. And why this is interesting is that now you're seeing one of the major sports brands and teams in the world now programming their facility and stadium to external entertainment to keep fans engaged throughout the year, even when the Braves aren't physically playing there. So the headline festival included free activations and performances by Cody Johnson, Ella Langley. You've been bumping her recently.
I love that song. She was in Texas. I mean, everyone listens to that song, so it's like it's not novel anymore. But I do love that song.
Yeah. So it was the venue generated a major revenue event on a day the team wasn't even in town, like I was saying. So the financials as of February 25 were that the total revenue rose 11% to $733 million roughly, and that baseball revenue grew to 7% to $635 million, and mixed-use development revenue jumped 45% to $97.4
That's the
million.
real story here, is that they're leaning more into how can we leverage the stadium into doing interesting things, even when it's in the middle of the season. At the same time, like, I mean, that's what actually I think makes baseball such an interesting concept for stadiums, because they have such a long season. And so And at the same time, like, how can we fill out those days where, you know, they're not playing at home? And I think the Battery is going to continually set the standard for what other stadiums should be doing. And we think this is going to be something that we see a lot more often. How can we have as many concerts, venue usage as possible when there's not a sports game happening?
And it's a cool parallel to what we covered, and I believe our very first 4-second show, where we saw PBR, professional bull riders, doing these country-style events and festivals in college football stadiums during the offseason. I know this one is still during the season for the Battery, but it's cool that there's a merging of country and culture and festivals in college, or just even in sports stadiums. So it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah,
that.
It makes sense. I mean, country and Georgia go pretty well together.
Yeah, this one, the PBR was at Florida State and Colorado State, but still very similar vibe. Okay, this is something that was taking up mind share for most of our headspace this week, but in M&A and major investment news, this broke headlines everywhere. Fox just made its biggest bet in its streaming era. They just bought Roku at a $22 billion valuation. The 22 is reported differently, right? Based off of where you saw this.
So I think the initial reporting, Wall Street Journal had it at 25. But it's like, I mean, that was initial reporting. I think consensus seems like it's 22.
I think so. So the streaming box and operating system that's over 100 million households just got bought by Fox. So Fox owns the content rights to some of the NFL, the World Cup, Big 10, MLB, and what Fox just did with this acquisition was actually buying the front door, the screen that you stare at before you choose what to look at. So I think it was a big data play as well. Here's what I think is interesting, Suraj. I think it makes a bunch of sense, right? I think you do as well. Wall Street does not agree with this, actually. So once this was announced, shares slid, and just over the past 5 days, Fox Corp is trading at a low, or a 24. They're down 24%, which is weird. I don't know. I thought it would.
Maybe they thought the transaction was too expensive and that the synergy story didn't make that much sense to them.
I think that's the only reasonable conclusion. Obviously, they did pay a premium for Roku, and the deal structure is both cash and stock, with the cash component being around $14 billion. And then Morgan Stanley actually has helped commit a $12 billion bridge financing to help Fox with the acquisition. So,
Gotcha. So it was like added debt at the same time, probably like maybe significant dilution, which is exactly probably not what shareholders want to see. And so
Fox will pay $96 in cash and get roughly 0.97 shares of Fox Class A common stock for each Roku Class A and Class B share. Pretty interesting.
So I got a lot of takes on this.
I
actually think this is a really interesting deal and has a lot of implications in sports. And I want to talk mainly about that facet because, I mean, this is a very fascinating deal overall, just in the media entertainment industry, but I want to, focus on sports specifically. So, like you said, Roku's the front door for any streaming channel, right? It has a very young demo. There's 100 million plus global streaming households, or households on Roku specifically. And it's exactly when I got my first TV, I buy a Roku stick so I can go and, get log into all my streaming platforms. But what's really interesting is that Roku has this own thing called Roku Channel, and it's what we call FAST, which is free ad-supported TV. And so there's this new thing out there that's been actually getting a lot more popularized as streaming platforms continue to unbundle. It becomes so difficult to find where you need to watch XYZ programming or XYZ sport. Now you got to have 10 different accounts. And so what these new platforms are popping up, one of them is actually Tubi, which Fox owns, is Roku Channel, where I can go and just still watch free TV, free movies, but at the same time, it's ad supported. And so that has actually been doing extremely well. And we can look at the best case study, which is Tubi, which Fox owns. Tubi now has nearly 100 million plus monthly active users. Revenue has grown 23% in fiscal third quarter year over year. At the time in 2020, they were bought for $440 million, and they had 33 million plus monthly active users. So it went from 33 million, they've tripled in the past 6 years. They also have a younger demo and 160 million plus hours watched per month. Tubi has now a platform record of 2.2% share of total TV viewing, and Nielsen said it accounted for nearly 1/3 of Fox's overall viewing total that month. This was a May 2025 reporting. So what we're seeing is that this is actually a really attractive channel for especially a younger demo to consume media content. Now, is there going to be a positioning where sports is going to leverage these what we call fast, free ad-supported TV? And so I think long-term what we're going to see is emerging leagues tapping into Tubi and Roku channel, especially when you have that big of an audience, a younger demo. That's exactly where you want to target. The economics are probably better because it's ad-supported, while YouTube and some of these other platforms take a lot of the gains. And so you might see distribution there. At the same time, it's even increased leverage for when Fox goes into media rights negotiations with major sports leagues and say, hey, look, we have the biggest demo by far. We have Tubi was 100 million plus, Roku channel was 100 million plus. You should be leveraging fast, and Fox is cable, streaming, and it's ad-supported free TV. You should be leveraging us more than just working purely with one streaming platform because you get the greater demo.
I agree. I mean, Fox's own investor presentation showed that the streaming share of total U.S. TV viewing was rising from 25% to 2020 to 48% in 2026, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
And then, not weird, but it's interesting. And then Fox already owns the elite live content, and what it lacked was the actual distribution layer and data layer. So just echoing what you're saying.
Yeah, I could see a lot of like sports highlights, shoulder programming around sports go through Tubi and Roku channel. These are some things that like gets people on the hook, and then at some point in time, as they become fans of these sporting programs, maybe it's time to go and upgrade to Fox One.
And Roku
because no one's going back to cable, right?
And Roku was a fast-growing company prior to this acquisition, so their platform revenue rose 18% year over year to a record $1.22 billion in Q4 of 2025.
Yeah, fast-growing, younger demo. At the same time, they've hit the spot on what's the main media consumption platform that younger demographics want to use. And at the same time, it's kind of this counteraction against this unbundling that we've been seeing with streaming platforms.
Exactly. Moving on to what has now become our favorite, and not just our favorite, but most people's favorite section of the show. New fund alert. A Welsh soccer superstar with 5 Champions League rings just became a private equity partner, and most people know him as Gareth Bale.
A legend. A Real Madrid legend.
He teamed up with a Washington, D.C. middle market private equity shop called Juggernaut Capital to launch a sports-specific investment platform. So the platform is targeting control equity investments and other flexible capital solutions, with the initial focus areas being domestic sports teams and leagues, international football clubs, women's sports, youth sports, athlete development platforms, golf and experiential sports assets, and sports-facing businesses connected to sports and fans.
So literally anything in sports. That's the whole
industry,
I guess.
Yeah. The whole ecosystem.
No, I like the ambition. It's awesome.
So he was on Front Office Sports with his partner, and they basically said there was no fund size announced, but it would be smaller than $1 billion, which...
Yeah, SBJ had it around 500 million plus. Yeah.
And they have an existing sports... So Juggernaut already has an existing sports portfolio, including 3-Step Sports, which is the
youth sports roll-up of academies and leagues.
Exactly. Kemper Sports, which is golf, hospitality, and sports management. Operator, Thrill Sports, which is the thrill-based entertainment company, the action sports company, where Nitro Circus also sits under that umbrella. And they formerly had Mitchell & Ness, actually, which they
sell
up
to
selling.
Fanatics. Yeah,
exactly. So,
pretty cool. I think Gareth Bale, I mean, that's a great partner to have. He actually has, obviously, global football credibility, given that he was like one of the greats for Real Madrid. Pablo can probably speak to that more than I can, but he's also a big golfer. So like he's participated at AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. He's an ambassador for Steph Curry's underrated golf. At the same time, he's had some form of operating experience, being the co-founder, or not some form, pure operating experience, co-founding 11 Esports, which is like a FIFA esports platform, and at the same time, Cardiff Hospitality. He's actually had interest in buying Cardiff City, which is a EFL League One soccer team in the UK. It's essentially the 3rd division. right below the championship.
That's his
league.
hometown team?
I believe that's his hometown team. It's based in Wales. So, I mean, definitely hometown country for sure. And so,
Hometown country.
or yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But the bigger trend that I see here is that I think that Juggernaut, I mean, they've had a sports portfolio experience. I think they want to tie in an athlete because, one, I think athletes control deal flow. They can control the narrative. And at the same
Especially
time,
athletes that have true interest and presence in the business space, right?
exactly.
That are not just a figurehead. And I
Yes.
think Garrett is going to be a true
I think it'd be a true operator. Same with like
investor here.
Rory McIlroy with TPG Sports. And we're seeing this all the time. We saw CVC when they teamed up with Rock Nation. They essentially built out like an athlete council or athlete board for CVC's Global Sports Group's sports investment fund. They had people like David Villa, who's like a Spanish football legend, and Skylar Diggins on there.
Yep. I remember
as
covering
well.
that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's like the new trend here. And it not only opens opportunities for them, I think Juggernaut Capital may be looking for international scale as well. And I think Gareth Bale opens those doors for them.
I believe they're already looking at a few English football clubs, like you mentioned, but I think they're looking and they're in active conversation with a few. So in their front office sports interview, they were talking a lot about this. So be interesting to see what they do, and we'll obviously be reporting on what they invest in.
What
so.
they buy, yeah. Hey, the streak is alive. 15 weeks now?
Is it 15 weeks?
I think it's 15 weeks.
Prediction
it might
pop-
go a full year. We might just have 52 sports feed
Is
entertainment
that
funds
a
that just come
prediction?
out.
Is that a prediction we're buzzing in right now?
I guess we got to buzz in that prediction.
Are you
Maybe-
sure?
Maybe we have another link.
because we have 100% prediction rate right now. Is that 52? That's a large number. We're at 15.
52 is pretty wild.
Okay. Do you think
That's
we get
a lot of
do you think we get to
capital.
20 new funds announced?
Yeah,
20
I think we get to
consecutive?
20. I think
Okay.
we get-
You locking it in?
I'm locking.
All right.
in
We
20.
need
Let's
we need
go.
a button that says lock it in. Lock in predictions, and then it like
It's locked
spins
in.
the. We also need
I
to
just
get
pressed the
our-
imaginary button that said locked in. Boom.
and we need to get our crystal ball, which from our previous episode we
Yes.
said it was gonna be good. So stay tuned for all of these exciting things.
That's
that are gonna be-
sponsorship inventory, by the way. So
That is awesome. Very hot week for the world of sports, because I thought normally we stack the some of the most exciting things are what we normally talk about, but now we have in the emerging league news section two big stories in the world of this. One is that Ice Cube's Big 3, his professional 3-on-3 basketball league with retired NBA stars and then NBA legend Clyde Drexler as the commissioner, is going public. Not an IPO though. It's through a SPAC merger of a shell company called Graph Global at a $290 million valuation. If it closes, Big 3 will be the first professional sports league in U.S. history that people can buy on the stock market, which is wild, right? So Big 3 has 8 teams, and the league owns the Boston, Chicago, Dallas, and DMV franchises, while LA, Miami, Detroit, and Houston are owned by private independent investors. The Houston franchise, for more context, was sold in 2024 for $10 million, and they're on their 9th season. I know they've been around because I've been kind of keeping track of this. I've never personally tuned in. I need to tune in, but the fact that they're on the 9th season is kind of wild. They just closed a media deal. They're on CBS, and they got secondary programming on
BET, right?
BET. So they're not going to show live games, but they'll show kind of the recaps of the games. And then season 9 is condensed schedule of 13 dates across 9 cities. And I think the interesting thing here is like I need to tap in a little bit more. They didn't reveal too many public numbers in terms of revenue.
I mean, we're gonna see it soon.
We'll see it soon. But the Olympic tailwind is really interesting, right? There's 3-on-3 basketball now in the Olympics. I think if this league will be successful, if you can properly commercialize and pipeline into the tailwinds of Olympic 3-on-3 basketball. Obviously, you have Unrivaled, which is 3-on-3 women's basketball, right? Like there's these adjacent properties. Does this company, Big 3, end up becoming like a roll-up of, adjacent, there's like Shaq's Dunk Man now, which is the dunking league, right? Like, can you create a huge roll-up of all of these like
Media, like
these sports leagues that are not? Can you call them like shoulder leagues, shoulder programming leagues? Like we need to coin some
Big 3 would
terms,
probably be some pretty good shoulder programming for like a major sporting event.
right? Like I think it's really interesting, and then they need to properly commercialize. And I think they have the CBS deal already, but getting a bigger streaming deal, I think, and media deal is where I think a lot of this value gets unlocked. Do you have any predictions, or do you think you're going to wait to see more?
I have to wait and see more.
Yeah,
Honestly,
'cause-
I haven't tuned into Big 3 much.
No, but we also need to see more about, the numbers that they put out for in their filings to see if properly assess
Yeah.
or make a prediction about this.
I mean, it also could just be like a capital markets move. They're like, hey, look, like we have a big vision. We want to raise a lot of capital, but we don't want to go to the private markets because, like, how do you really categorize this? Like, is a venture fund like going to be investing in this?
Like a big private equity
Maybe
play?
a big private equity play. At the same time, it's like, okay, but like not many private equity firms have invested in an asset like this before. So let's just go to the public markets and, through a
and to
SPAC
raise
and-
money.
to raise capital and see how the market decides this. And at the same time, like I think they can do it. But now it's just like they're gonna go through public scrutiny. They're gonna be in the limelight, right? It's like every quarter you're gonna see how well the Big 3 does.
So they claim that socials is their loudest number, and they have 735 million views season to date in 2025, up 402% year over year, and more than 1 billion social media impressions during the prior season. For some reason, I have not seen as many clips or highlights from this league than I would with looking at these numbers. I feel like I should have seen something. I don't know if
they
you've
gotta
seen
get a partnership with the Bleacher Report or something like that. So
or the fourth
so I
quarter,
can see-
man.
Or the fourth quarter.
We'll break it down.
We'll break down the business behind this advertisement that's in the Big 3 league.
Or get Ice Cube himself on this
oh
show,
yeah,
right?
we'd love
He's
to
the
get Ice
CEO.
Cube. Yeah,
founder.
100%.
And then, they've some average TV audience exceeds 550,000 viewers on CBS in the deal material. So there is viewership. It's not like there's not viewership here. So we got to tap in.
No, we got to tap in. I got to watch one of these games.
All right, watch party behind us.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. All right, moving on to our next one, a former private equity partner at Hellman Friedman, a mega private equity fund with 115 billion AUM. Would you consider that a mega fund?
H&F is like one of the best performing funds
Okay, good. So
in the
they,
U.S.
they
for
just
sure.
bought
like historic fund.
So a former partner there just bought 2 action sports franchises in X Games. We saw Jeremy.
Well, now
Bull-
X Games League.
X Games League. So yes, it's the skateboarding and snowboarding company that ESPN built in the 90s and now has gone through, over the last couple of years, a huge revolutionary change. It's reinventing itself through a team league and is now selling permanent franchises like real sports properties. This week, this private equity partner, Alan Thorpe, who used to work at Hellman Friedman, through his current firm, Pipe Dream Capital, paid 8 figures for the Los Angeles Summer Club and the Park City Winter Club. The transaction marks another milestone in MoonPay X Games leagues. That's kind of interesting. We've talked about this, obviously, but MoonPay is the title.
MoonPay is
sponsor
the
of
title
league.
sponsor. Stake is one of their biggest sponsors.
Betting partners, yeah.
Betting partners. At the same time, you can exclusively live stream this on Kick, which is owned by Stake. They're really leaning into the younger demo, which I love.
I think it's a big. I think this is going to win eventually. I mean, Moelis was their exclusive financial advisor for the to sell the teams. This is the second franchise sale. In May, X Games sold its first franchise with sports investment firm Una Sports Group, acquiring the New York City summer and winter teams in what was also an 8-figure transaction. And the league structure, it's basically the inaugural X Games League. Summer season begins on June 26th, so just next week, in Sacramento, travels to Chiba, Japan, and concludes with the championship in New Orleans in July. And then the winter draft is in September 16th. It's 4 winter clubs. They build a roster of 10 athletes, 5 men, 5 women, and the rosters must include both skiers and snowboarders. We were at Proskauer, one of the leading sports investment law firms. They had an event in their New York City office a few weeks ago.
With Drake Star.
With Drake Star.
Shout out to Drake Star, too. There was a co-event.
Yes, shout out to Drake Star, Mohit Parikh, our friend of Drake Star, partner there. They invited us to what was a really exciting and exclusive sports business kind of leaders event, and we actually got to hear Jeremy Bloom, who is the CEO of X Games speak. So it was cool to see his vision. I thought it was going to be very corporate, and the way he and Mark, who is the founder of Fubo, who was the second speaker, or one of the other speakers on the other panel. Those two were my favorite, and it was cool to see him. It's cool to see the vision. We've covered X Games obviously through our newsletter, and we've talked about it on the show previously. But seeing him speak, I actually got to meet him, told him what we're building. He was supportive of the fourth quarter. Jeremy, if you're watching this, if you're watching a clip of this, this is an invite for you to come on the show. I will be reaching out to you directly once we're, getting guests.
Yes,
but
we got to hear like the full vision of X Games leagues.
he was an Olympian.
He was an Olympian. He was also a former NFL player as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm really excited about X Games League specifically is that back in the day when X Games it wasn't a league, right? It was mainly just athlete driven and events driven, right? Like athlete driven, it's always going to be like that still, but it was individual athletes competing for a prize. At the same time, it's like these one-off events. When you build it into a league, it automatically builds out the programming, and at the same time, it creates much better revenue opportunities for athletes because now they have a team behind them that's going to bring them the sponsorships that they want, right? For that team specifically. At the same time, they probably have annual salaries now. So this is, in my opinion, a movement for the action sports industry to help build them a more stable lifestyle and stable programming that I think they deserve because they get the viewership numbers. They get that. They get that audience. It's time to monetize it now.
100%. So shout out to them. I think this is really interesting. The emerging league section keeps popping off. So
yeah, this is 2 stories for an emerging league. Wow.
And we've consistently
Typically, it's always 1.
Yeah, but consistently we've been covering it too. So the emerging leagues, I don't think we give it enough love saying it's always on fire. It actually genuinely is always on fire. So always stuff to talk about. Okay, moving on to our industry spotlight. We're going to make this a quick one. Underdog, the $1.2 billion sports fantasy company, just put on a masterclass of modern sports marketing or sports trolling, depending on how you look at it. I don't know if you saw this.
It's top tier marketing, in my opinion.
I love it. I should have gotten my hands on this. But anyway, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, they built a board game, and it was essentially a knockoff on the classic board game Operation, which is essentially where you have tweezers and you're an operator and you're trying to pull out bones from somebody, and they have like a ring of metal, and if you touch it, essentially it buzzes, and it's like meaning, you would have messed up if you were operating.
It's like surgery, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, they built one called Unethical Hoops, where a buzzer goes off every time you touch a cartoon SGA. This is or what looks like an SGA. Who is the OKC superstar, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for those of you that don't know what SGA stands for. And it was basically mocking or playing into the fact that the NBA really is behind their superstar, and when he, flops a little bit or, he's just a magnet for foul calls. So it was kind of funny that they played into that. They sold 100 copies, so it was only 100. They made only 100, and it was a giveaway drop-off, a giveaway drop, and they got Dylan Brooks, who's the NBA villain and SGA's teammate on Team Canada, to star in the ad, and it went viral across the Western Conference Finals series between the Spurs and the Thunder. And it was actually produced. The ad was produced by our friends at Spectra, so Jack Byrne and Jordan Swang and the team who put it together. So shout out to them. But it was awesome. SGA's lawyers sent a cease and desist, which I thought is hilarious. Right.
And that's actually probably what
bolstered this
because then when national media picks this up, you get a ton of impressions from it.
I mean, they had 150 million impressions on socials, 110K site visits, so traffic wise, and then 7K signups, and then obviously 100 people got it. But I think this is fascinating. This is another thing that we're seeing in stunt marketing, right? Where I want to see if they continue to do more of this. I think we did hear that they're going to do more of this. I think more DFS companies, sportsbook, prediction markets should be playing into this stuff to get mass appeal.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
I'm a big fan of this. I thought it was really smart. It's creative marketing moves like this, which is the reason why you spend this much money in marketing, right? It's not just a bunch of paid advertisements.
It's
through
creative,
social
right?
media.
It's
you have to be creative.
It's spending on stuff like this. It's spending on the fourth quarter, right? Where you have to
give your pitch right now, Sid.
Yeah, you have to find unique ways and unique avenues to reach the people that you want to get to. And I think running these ads or typical ads or whatever, it's kind of over time I think efficiency just falls off, and it's just a race to a bottom that's just mathematical. And I think a lot of marketing is psychological. It's it's creativity.
It's understanding culture, society.
100%.
I don't know. It could be honestly philosophical in a sense, in a way too.
Yep. So. Yeah. So shout out to the brand and marketing team over there. You guys are crushing it, and excited to see more of what you guys do there. Do you think these can turn into collectibles, by the way? I think 100%.
Potentially, I think so. I mean, I don't know like how much in the resale
Like if
market
Underdog has a big exit, like it could be cool,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's
this was
true.
like once upon a time they had
or
this.
if like the more that SGA just gets better and better, racks up more MVPs and is like in the top 10, top 15 of all time discussion, then stuff like that will obviously rise up in value as well.
Would have been funny if SGA played into it.
Yeah, I don't think you would do that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. In the world of startups and technology, this one's also a pretty quick one. 3.7. That number 3.7. That's how many beats per minute the New Yorkers' average heart rate jumped across the entire city in the final seconds of Knicks game 4. So, the crazy comeback that they had against the Spurs. So we know this because Oura, the smart ring company, which I don't have, but, is really interesting, pulled anonymized data from the city and its New York members and turned a basketball game into a citywide biometric event, an experiment. It's a brilliant marketing move from $11 billion company. Essentially, Oura published a blog title called The Pulse of New York using anonymized de-identified data from local Oura members, revealing a live physiological spike during the game and a slump in recovery the next morning. It was actually kind of hilarious. So members' average heart rate jumped more than 2 beats per minute above their personal baselines and 3.7 BPM above baseline right before the final buzzer. And then on sleep, on the night of June 10th, Oura members in New York averaged just 6.63 hours of sleep, down roughly 10 minutes from the week prior, with a 1 to 3% drop in recovery metrics affecting sleep across every stage. And for context, it's kind of funny that the Knicks had 0.5% chance to win that game at a certain point, and that they came back. I don't even blame them. It's kind of cool. And I didn't even realize this, but I was looking into this, and Oura is actually a partner of MSG. So they're, I believe, the official, fitness tracker or fitness tech partner of MSG, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it's like, can you tap into these?
The New York Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, they're tapping into a major sporting cultural moment, and they're talking about the biometric data. It gives a deeper look into like how important this game was for the New Yorkers.
It just blends these fitness trackers also into culture and like human every day-to-day life a little bit more, because you also saw that Will Ahmed, the CEO of Whoop, did something similar.
So yeah, he tweeted June 14th, right when Knicks won the chip. New York City in celebration mode compared to a typical Sunday, the morning after the Knicks championship win. New York Whoop members saw their recovery go down 11%, red recoveries go up 36%, sleep down 34 minutes, HRV down 4%, and RHR up 2%. And those who reported drinking had an average of over 4 drinks.
I wasn't
guessing it was worth it.
I wasn't stressing.
Heart emoji.
I wasn't stressing, obviously, because I'm cool, calm, and collected. And
Yeah, but you were in Chicago.
Yeah, but I don't have it's game 4.
No, this is
Oh,
data,
that was game 5.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was an exciting game actually. But you were definitely one of those statistics.
I was probably I actually had pretty good sleep that night, but my recovery was probably low.
Well, shout out to them. Cool to see this, and excited to see more data that comes around all these tentpole sporting events. Very quickly, moving on to the world of collectibles. I just thought we had to throw this in there before we get to Professor Paramanu and your quick section on prediction markets. But the chairs that celebrities like Taylor Swift and Kylie Jenner sat on during Game 3 and Game 4 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers were sold at an auction on Sunday. This is so weird and wild that they would sell where she was sitting. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, in partnership with Authentication Marketplace, The Realist, auctioned the courtside chairs used by celebrities during Game 3 and Game 4, like I just mentioned, that they were sitting at Rocket Arena. Taylor Swift's Game 3, it was the most expensive, sold for $7,000. It had the most interest for 40 people bidding on the right to own the chair. Which is weird and wild. I don't know how I feel about that. And Kylie Jenner's sold for $1,500, which is the second highest. And then Travis Kelce sold for $1,400. Timothy Chalamet sold for $1,200. Ben Stiller and MGK, they couldn't even crack the 1,000 club. So Ben Stiller's seat sold for $730 and MGK sold for $635. And The Realist is an LA-based authentication platform that's that basically does direct to fan memorabilia and a marketplace for that. So I don't know. It's cool to see that. I mean, I guess it's a
cool
sports
way to
business
monetize
story.
off of chairs.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So essentially, like the thing was that the thesis is like the gray market for some of these novelty items is relegated to former staffing at these stadiums and venues, former girlfriends, team members, family, like whatever. And this is creating a proper pipeline. So it's cool to help these teams monetize in certain ways.
Yeah,
And
it also
collectibles.
brings attention at the same time. It's like it's a reminder again. Oh, Taylor Swift was at that Cavs conference finals game against the Knicks.
Probably would have been worth a lot more if they won, right?
They're literally monetizing chairs off of fans who are rooting for the Knicks against the Cavs. That's the kind of hilarious as well. But I mean, I would do the same.
Do you know if she was rooting for the Cavs in that? Because she was with Travis Kelce. She had to, right?
I think she had
Okay,
to.
but
Right?
then she was caught
at Game 4
in MSG
and,
with
yeah.
Knicks stuff. All right. See, this is what I'm talking about. Loose allegiances.
No,
you know what I'm
loose
talking-
allegiances. And everyone wants to be a Knicks fan now. So I guess that's going to be the case for a couple of years.
All right, I'm handing it off to you for our last segment. Professor Paramanu was a hit after we got Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
More Doctor. I don't know. Every
Why'd you take
Mad
this off? You should have just kept it on.
Nah, it's like it's too much with the fit. But Pablo, thank you for.
Giving me the fit. I got these goggles where I can't see a thing, so I don't know
You have to keep adding something to the outfit every time.
Oh, we got the hat.
Oh, Pablo, you're gonna put the hat on me? Dude, I appreciate that, man. God, I'm gonna have the worst hat hair for like the next.
It's okay.
Like,
It's all right. This is actually protecting the hat hair.
Nah, I mean it's cool.
You have like some of your
I'm glad
hair
I got a
sticking
haircut
out.
early.
You have like some of your hair sticking out. I don't know if you want to keep it, but
All right.
does he need the
Holy cow. It's fine.
every
Well,
time
well,
I keep looking at you.
All right.
I don't understand how people are not dying when they're watch clips of you.
Ooh.
And you posted it on LinkedIn.
I did post on LinkedIn.
There was
It
a funny comment. Do you
It
remember?
was a funny. People are hyped about it.
Yeah,
actually,
someone was
so-
like, "This is the first. I don't know anything about sports. I was just searching to connect with people on LinkedIn, and they came across this video, and that's their first impression of the channel." All right, sorry, Professor. Go ahead.
So, classes in session, AP prediction markets. This is a quick breakdown of an interesting news story / headline in the prediction market space. We all know that there's too much noise in this space, too many things happening, and at the same time, only 0.1% of people actually know what is going on with prediction markets. And it's obviously fast-growing space. It's something that I think will be a true financial exchange institution that will be permeated in society for the next decades to come. And so I think it's really important that Professor Paramanu teaches you what's actually going on.
Okay,
We ready? Students, are we ready?
class is in session. Let's go.
Damn, Pop, I didn't hear anything from you.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, let's go. So today that we're going to talk about is rules. So a lot of people are like, how does prediction markets even exist? Who regulates it? What's going on with this? How is this even a thing? Et cetera, et cetera. It feels like it's just, sports books that are just nationalized, et cetera. Now, there's this thing called the CFTC. You guys have probably heard of it.
Okay, what does
it's
it
the
stand for?
Commodities Futures Trading Commission. So what they do is that they regulate financial exchanges around futures, options, swaps, and now event contracts, which is novel because that's what you're trading when you use a prediction markets platform. So the CFTC does two very interesting things in regards to the prediction market space. One, it's the gatekeeper deciding who actually gets to be a federally regulated prediction market. I want to shout out two companies actually that recently got the designation to be a DCM or a designated contract market by the CFTC approval this week, actually, Novig and ProfitX. So congratulations to you guys.
Shout out to our
They're-
friends at Novig.
Novig,
Let's
yeah.
go.
So
That's huge.
that's huge because now they're get to transition from a sweepstakes model to something that is nationally recognized through prediction markets and through CFTC regulations. Now, second, and this is where we're going to talk about the most, is they get to decide what event contracts should even exist or not. And that's been the hot topic. Right now, there's been a ton of pressure from states and state governments against prediction markets because one, either states that don't allow sports betting are not okay with the fact that you can trade sports contracts using Kalshi, Polymarket, now potentially Novig, and ProfitX um, in their states, and so they're not happy with that. There's other states that profit a lot off of gambling tax revenue, and that have legalized sports betting, and so there's a bunch of pressure there. So actually, 16 states are actively in lawsuits against the CFTC because they're
Wow.
essentially saying, "Hey, look, like you guys are impeding on our regulatory control over gambling." And then 15 states are actively trying to pass laws and say, "Hey, we're going to either ban prediction markets or restrict it in some sort of way, put a tax on it, etc." And so the CFTC, the rule maker, the federal regulator, has to now push back and make some clear guidelines. And that's what they did this past week. They actually just issued a new 267-page proposal that, within 45 days will go into action, barring any, interesting public comments that, might lead to some remediation or update of that proposal. And what's really interesting about this proposal is that what they've put pressure on is saying, "Hey, look, we understand that some event contracts doesn't make sense to be traded. For example, anything related to war, terrorism, assassinations, etc., things that are maybe contrary to public interest." And a lot of people are like, "But how is trading sports contracts not contrary to public interest?" And this is the topic that I want to discuss and why the CFTC actually has really interesting grounds to protect sports contracts through that are being traded on prediction markets. There was a rule or a law that was passed, Dodd-Frank, back in 2010, when the great financial crisis was happening. There were some remediations, more federal regulations against banking and financial institutions. They actually gave power to the CFTC, a lot of power actually, to decide on what contracts or swaps or futures can be exchanged on derivatives markets, which now includes prediction markets. And including that was gambling activity or gaming activity specifically. And they included sports in gaming activity because that was kind of the lingo back then. And so now people would say, "Oh, look, does that mean that that leads to an immediate ban because technically like sports is a form of gaming?" No, in fact, it actually leads to more in-depth review. And what this proposal highlights is this three-pronged test. It's called the public interest test because, like we said, anything contrary to public interest should not be traded on prediction markets, and we've outlined some of the contracts that are contrary to public interest. So the first thing is, does the contract actually provide valuable information? So is there any like pricing knowledge that we can get from it, any like understandings of macroeconomics as well, hedging activity that makes sense, etc. Sports, in my opinion, probably passes it, and the CFTC thinks it passes that. Now, why? The reason is that it provides valuable information on economic output. Think about it. Sports is a massive industry, and at the same time, if you look at sports teams as well, they're public companies now. The Knicks, Rangers, all these different sports contracts on like winning and losing, and at the same time, how do the Knicks perform in 2026 or 2026 season, or does Jalen Brunson get Finals MVP or get MVP, et cetera, et cetera. All of that does actually have some form of pricing value when it comes to the public markets. And at the same time, it has some form of institution that protects it because you have leagues like the NBA, the NFL that make sure that they ensure integrity of those platforms. So it passes that. Second is are they susceptible to market manipulation, right? So is there any insider trading that can happen with this? And like I said, leagues protect it. At the same time, sports is based on a game of skill, right? You have teams, all these different types of aspects of sports makes it a lot more insulated from insider trading. Obviously, there's things that do happen, like what we saw with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, but a lot of that does get penalized, right, and punished. Same with insider trading that happens on the public markets as well. So CFTC says that checks. And third is, can these exchanges actually surveil and protect against any side of insider trading? And we talked about this with Polymarket partnering with Palantir, Kalshi now partnering with Sportradar, and at the same time, IC360 involved with regulating some of these markets. We've seen this with sports books that do it as well, and that's able to track it. Crazy. I literally just see a silhouette of Sid. But what I do think, and so CFTC essentially built out this three-pronged test, and they said sports contracts, most of them do pass. Anything related to injuries or officiating does not. And what separates sports specifically from any other gaming activity, like let's say like Baccarat or like roulette, for example, is that there is no actual pricing information or valuable information that comes from roulette because it's a full game of chance, right? It doesn't have any spillover impact on anything else other than that one game. And I think sports is a lot different, and it's going to continually be different as we're going to see more sports companies go public, right? More sports teams go public. At the same time, these become very, very powerful economic institutions. The CFTC is going to be more inclined to protect sports contracts in that way as well. So really interesting. We'll see what happens with the 45 days, if there's any pushback at all. But I do think the CFTC is going to get a lot of the sports contracts back, despite all the state pressure that we're seeing.
I'm not going to lie. Professor Paramanu, you're going to need a whiteboard next time because you need to draw some of this stuff out. Just you speaking from the dome for
That was crazy.
A monologue
off the dome, dude.
might not get registered for the people that actually want to be tuned in. So it was
I mean,
good.
That was a very complicated topic.
We gotta get a whiteboard next time.
I gotta bring a whiteboard. We need to get new goggles.
No, I like the goggles.
The goggles, I can't even see a thing. It's like wild.
I try them on.
Try them on. Do the rest of the do the closeout with the goggles on.
All right, me too. Which way do you even put it on?
Yeah, like that.
I like this. Yeah, it is kind of dark. Well, I can still read my.
No,
it's kind of bad.
impossible.
Actually.
It's impossible.
Thank you for tuning into the fourth quarter. I hope you enjoyed everything. We talked about Hyrox to Big3 going public to Professor Paramanu and
Giving the long-winded prediction markets breakdown that you need.
for AP prediction markets. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.